Welcome to Better Together with your hosts, Emily Italia and Jennifer Morrow. When we all work together, we are stronger and can accomplish more for the kingdom of God. And now, here are the hosts of Better Together, Emily Italia and Jennifer Morrow.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Better Together with Jen Morrow.
And Emily Italia.
It's going to be a fun one. I'm really laughing. I'm having technical difficulties with this microphone, but it's all good. It's all good. It's just like swinging back and forth. So for those watching online, I'll just be like, doing a little dance into my seat this morning to get that.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's all good. We make it work. So, hey, Em, how are you?
Good. How have you been?
Pretty good. What's first off, a happy late Mother's Day, belated Mother's Day.
Thank you. And to all the moms out there, the spiritual moms, the moms that we're remembering after they've passed, it's just such a special time because everybody has a mom in one way or another. And, it's just such a great time to remember how much they contributed to our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And, I got the best card from my kids, and they wrote, now they're teen and early 20s, they can write just these beautiful, eloquent messages. And, I can really appreciate that, and go back and read them again and again and again.
Do you keep them all?
I do.
Yeah,
I
of
do
course.
across the years. I love the creativity and the messaging. It's just been fantastic.
Nice.
So how did you spend Mother's Day? Did you have a special something?
I actually ended up going out to California to see my dad and my stepmom.
Oh,
And so it was great. My parents sent me a ticket to say, come out here and see us before, we hadn't seen them in a while because they spend, how like snowbirds from the East Coast, they go to Florida or Jersey.
okay.
My parents go to California because two of my siblings live there. So they can
Perfect.
see, part of their kids there. So anyway, I was only going to be in Palm Springs for about 3 days. So I just brought a backpack. So my plan, I had bought these Irish chocolates that my mom likes so much. And, but when I got there, the bag opened because it was just a backpack and opened, and she saw it. She's like, oh, you brought me roses? That's what they're called, the Irish candy.
Oh,
And I was like, well, happy Mother's Day.
Yes, surprise.
Because I'm going to give it to her like later in the week. And then my sister came down from LA. And she brought my mom flowers. So as soon as I walked in the doors, we were like, well, happy Mother's Day. So there's like a picture of like me, my sister, my mom, like with the roses and the candies and the flowers. So yeah, it was a couple days before Mother's Day, but we celebrated early.
Extended celebration.
Yeah, so that was good. And then, always just wish my what did you say, women in my life that I look to as mothers, including my birth mother, of course, in Texas, sent her a card and a gift. And then, my aunt, and who was also like my sponsor when I became Catholic. So,
Oh, lovely.
yeah, stuff like that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we have a lot of different
sister.
mom influencers in our lives one way or
Mom influencers. That should be the name of another show. Mom influencers. I like it.
But so of course they called Mom on Mother's Day, and she's actually going to be able to come visit us for a little while in the summer. So I'm looking forward to that.
Good.
And then of course John's mom, and like I feel bad. She's like, everybody can come over here, and she cooked for us and everything. Like, you shouldn't be cooking on Mother's Day. No, she's happy to do it, and of course always makes such a special occasion for everybody. So that was great.
Good.
And extra special congratulations to a mom friend of ours, Alicia Brozovic, who just had her baby on May 8th and got to bring him home from the hospital on Mother's Day.
Yay.
So she was a guest of ours last October, talking about the Byzantine Catholic tradition and a workshop that we had back then. So just really happy for her, and happy that she's free to come home and, just bask in the baby glow for a while.
Love that. Well, congratulations.
Yes. Awesome. So how are things in the Diocese of Camden? What's going on?
Busy, of course. So very excited. We are recording this on May 15th.
Yep.
So the very next day, May 16th on Saturday, we have an ordination for the priesthood. So we'll be very excited. We have one man being ordained to the priesthood, and then, of course, he'll have his first Mass on Sunday. And then, we're gearing up right now big time for the Catholic Media Conference that's coming up in Atlantic City from June 16th through 19th.
Oh, nice.
So anybody listening, if you're any kind of communications professional, clergy, student, journalist, radio host, you just love Catholic communications and you want to come hear some really great people talk, there's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
roundtables, a lot of one-on-ones, instructional workshops. It's going to be great. Please come check it out. Again, it's in Atlantic City's at Harrah's. I'm going to look up the website right now. I'm sorry, Mike Walsh,
That's
that I do
okay.
not have this memorized. Also, I'm going to give a shout out to Mike Walsh, the director of communications for the Diocese of Camden and Talking Catholic host. He was just
Nice plug.
reelected to the board,
Oh,
the
congratulations,
CMC
Mike.
board for the second year. And can I tout myself for 2 seconds?
Please.
Okay, so I was chosen as one of 5 finalists for Editor of the Year from across U.S. and Canada. So I am up against some
Congratulations.
big names in the
Oh.
business, big names, big publications. So thank you, God, for all of your gifts, and thank you for Mike Walsh for nominating me.
That's incredible. Oh,
so yeah.
happy for you.
Thank you. It's pretty
It's
cool.
a great honor.
I was in California when I found out, and
Oh.
we're 3 hours difference, in California. So I'm still on Jersey time. So my boss, emails me or whatever, and I see it, and then I have to wait like 3 hours for my parents to get up, and I'm like, "Get
Oh.
up, everybody! I have exciting news!" So
oh man.
yeah. So I'm gonna find this Catholic Media Conference.
And meanwhile,
site. Yeah.
just like this is kind of a big deal that it's happening in New Jersey because it takes place. Yeah, I think it was in Florida a couple of years ago.
It is
or
all over
it's
the
all over the
place.
place. So
It's-
we happen to have access to it.
Yeah, usually we have to travel. I mean, the closest one I've been to in recent years was Baltimore.
Well, that's
Then
right.
before that, it was Phoenix. It's been in what's the cool city in Canada? Quebec.
Quebec.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, only one cup of coffee so far. And so yeah, it's a big deal to have it here. A really big deal.
Right.
And it's on the. I mean, it's on the shore in the summer. Like, how great is that? We're gonna go to mass at St. Nicholas Tolentine,
Oh.
which is one of the most beautiful churches in the state.
You better send pictures.
Yeah, I will. I know. I was like, everybody come. So yeah, it's gonna be good. You know what? I'll just put the website in the show notes.
There you go. Good plan.
Sorry,
Good
everyone.
plan. Well, that's a good idea anyway, just so people have a chance to look at all the workshops that are available because there's such a variety.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Okay, I found it. It's really difficult. It's CatholicMediaConference.org.
Even I can remember that.
I know. I don't know what's wrong with me. So yeah. So that's going to be really good stuff. Yeah, and then also you're going to talk about it more. Really, is that we have the Eucharistic pilgrimage coming through. Why don't you talk about that first, and then I'll say part of what it's coming
Sure.
through Canada.
And real
Canada.
quick, shout out
Camden.
also, we have transitional deacons being ordained tomorrow at St. Mary of the
Yay.
Assumption Cathedral in Trenton, and it's going to be live streamed on the website. So if you can't make it to St. Mary's tomorrow, it starts at 10 o'clock. The live stream is going to be at youtube.com/Trenton Diocese. And I think the live link should be there. If it isn't already, you can click under live, and I think it's there. So,
Okay.
But really encourage you, if you can, to show up because, it's just the two who are being ordained, and because the permanent deacons were ordained last fall. So it's a little bit smaller
Right.
crowd this
Mhm.
year. So, to show up and support, my husband's going to go. Solidarity. But yes, the Eucharistic pilgrimage. So we just had that great big one that came through a lot of New Jersey.
Mhm.
Was that the Elizabeth Ann Seton route that came
I
through
believe
our
so,
area?
yes.
And then all those other routes that went cross country. This one is staying on the eastern seaboard, and it's passing through parts of New Jersey and Philadelphia.
Delaware.
Let me give you the website before I forget.
Okay.
It's eucharisticpilgrimage.org, and it has all the dates and details. So you can look up, if it's coming close to you, if you're in the South Jersey area or kind of greater Philadelphia area. There will be several opportunities to participate in the pilgrimage or an associated mass. And what's really cool is once it goes all the way up north, then it turns around and comes back to Philadelphia just in time for all of the 250th celebrations. Like July 2nd through the 5th, they will be in Philadelphia, and several masses, several processions. So you can't make it for all the days, you can make it for one. But just what an amazing way to celebrate at the same time our nation's heritage, our freedom to practice religion,
Yeah.
which is so unique in our world today. And I think we kind of, as Americans, we take that for granted. We are just, we're able to have that freedom of expression and of religion in a way that so many people don't.
100%. It's going to be coming through the Diocese of Camden,
Hmm.
which is very exciting. It's going to be so first every year the Diocese of Camden has a walk in Ventnor, right next to Atlantic City, down on the shore, and it's based on the Way of St. James walk, like
Yeah.
the Camino pilgrimage, and it's run by Vitality Catholic Health Care Services, and the goal is usually for seniors and their families to come out on the boardwalk. It starts usually with mass early in the morning, or not early, 9 a.m. And then you walk right across the street, and it's a 2-mile walk up and down the boardwalk. Right.
Nice.
And the idea is, to have seniors and their families come out, do something that's healthy, manageable, in God's creation. Every year we have it. So this year, the Eucharistic pilgrimage is coinciding with that. So the 9 perpetual pilgrims that are making this entire pilgrimage are joining that.
Oh, beautiful.
So it will be on June 13th. And again, it's like 2.5 mile procession along the boardwalk. Always a great event. So beautiful. You can see the shore. You can see the waves crashing you can see the waves crashing. And and mass will start at 9 a.m. with Bishop Williams. We'll be celebrating the mass,
Nice.
and then the walk starts, and then there's a lunch afterward. So this year registration, we're doing more of an early registration because of the pilgrimage coming
Great.
through. We're expecting a lot more people. So the registration is May 22nd, and you can go to vitality.camdendiocese.org/St. James 2026 to register. It's all free. Like I said, come register, bring your friends, go to Mass with Bishop Williams, meet the perpetual pilgrims, and then do the pilgrimage on the boardwalk, which is 2 to 2.5 miles. It's you go down and come back. So if you can only do half of that or a little bit of that, just come and join and walk.
Yeah.
It's great. Love
Oh.
it. And then the very next day the very same day, because that's June 13th in the morning, there will be a mass, and all of those details are still being worked out, but that'll be closer to the Philly and Camden area, and there'll be another a big mass, and there'll be the handing off of the pilgrimage between Delaware and in the Diocese of Camden, and it'll be all kinds of exciting stuff. Check it out in the Catholic Star Herald.
They really try to make it accessible to people.
Mhm.
If you can't make it at this time, there's something at another time. So, and then of course you can always participate spiritually.
Yeah.
And some of these events, especially when they stop in Philadelphia, I believe we'll probably have some live stream. I can't imagine that they wouldn't.
Oh yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm just assuming that since there's going to be cameras all over the place for
Absolutely.
the 250th. So, just to recognize that Jesus is celebrating with us.
I love that. I love it. And like you said, I love the idea that we're celebrating our right to freedom of religion.
Right.
So
We can practice our Catholic faith in a way that a lot of our brothers and sisters in other countries can't,
Mhm.
or they attempt to, and there's a lot of very real persecution. So, really grateful.
So that's the big thing. So check it
Yes.
out in both of our publications. There'll be more news about it. Anything else we want to chit chat about for a sec before we take a break?
I think we covered most of it, and yeah, I'm excited to dive into our topic because you got to go to an amazing event that we previewed last time.
Yes, we previewed. So this episode, the guests are myself and Emily Italia, and and we're going to be talking about health in general, spiritual health, mental health, physical health. And we'll start with kind of recapping the statewide mental health conference that was recently. So we're going to take a quick break and see you in a minute.
What have you done for your marriage today?
I gave my wife a hug this morning. I told her I love her.
Instead of sitting on the couch, I helped clean up.
I cooked my husband's favorite breakfast.
I sent my husband a love email.
What have I done for my marriage today? It's a good question.
I gave her a call and say thinking of her and the kids.
I did her hair this morning. I think it looks pretty good.
We're going to the museums as a family.
What have I done for my marriage today? I made my wife coffee and breakfast this morning.
It's going to be her birthday next week, so I've been spending time today making arrangements to make that extra special.
Oh, we're spending the day together?
I bought her an orchid.
Hassan was able to let me sleep in by taking care of him in the morning.
I read the newspaper to my wife, and it cracked her up. She's still laughing.
What have you done for your marriage today? Small changes can make a world of difference. Get started at foryourmarriage.org. A message from the Catholic Church.
My family left the church because of a very negative experience with a specific priest, and that took my whole family away from going to church for a long period of time. There were other Catholic churches, and there were great Catholic churches and great priests, but we stopped because of that one specific instance. And in a way, I was cheated out a big part of my journey in my life because we weren't in the church. In life, it seems like we're always enslaved to something, and I think that's basically what our culture is all about right now. Is we are enslaved to power or to greed or to wealth or to lust. But there's a true freedom to not be enslaved, but to attach ourselves to God and to be free. My involvement in the church, my relationship with God is who I am. It's what gives me my identity. Thank God I'm home.
If you've been away from the Catholic Church for whatever reason, we invite you to take another look. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today.
Welcome back, friends, to Better Together. I'm Emily Italia.
I'm Jen Morrow.
And today we're going to be talking about all forms of health, physical, spiritual, mental, how those all work together. And Jen had the wonderful opportunity to attend the recent statewide mental health conference in New Jersey. So really excited to hear about what that experience was like and what you learned, and take it away.
So yeah, we'd had James King from the NJCC on a month or so ago to talk about this, and then Talking Catholic podcast had Bishop John Dolan from the Diocese of Phoenix on to talk about mental health and as well. And so May 2nd.
This is Mental Health Month.
May is Mental Health Month, yes. So, and then also the Pope's intention for, I believe it's October, is mental health as well.
Great.
So you can see that the church is really invested in bringing mental health to the forefront in some new ways. It's not like it never has been, but with the more science that comes out, and we know, with this research, how can we not, right? And how can we not combine those two?
And just building off of that, it just occurred to me, I was listening to something the other day that brought up the recent Harvard study on longevity and health. And one of the things that was revealed among these people they studied for many, many years is the ones who belonged to a faith community had greater health markers throughout their life, spiritual, mental, physical. Just belonging to that, having the faith as, so obviously the church is incredibly invested in seeing people have healthy mental outcomes, healthy spiritual outcomes, physical. So,
and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about some statistics in a few minutes. That was fascinating, how the toll that isolation takes on a person. You know what? Why wait? I'm just going to throw this out there because I found this shocking. So this is from a 2023 report from the U.S. Surgeon General talking about the lack of social connection and what that kind of health risk that poses, right? So, for instance, chronic isolation and loneliness increases the risk of premature death to a level comparable to smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day.
Oh, my goodness.
Right. So we're kind of going back to that Harvard study as well. When you're a part of a parish and part of a church, you're part of a community.
Right.
Right. Or even if you're not 100% dived in, people notice when you're not there.
Right.
So
people know you, call you by name, ask how you're doing, and that is so life-giving. It's recognizing someone else as another person.
Exactly.
With value.
15 cigarettes a day. That's the equivalent of the impact of loneliness and isolation. Loneliness and isolation raises the risk of dementia in older adults by 50%. Wow. A lot of that has to do with also the fact that your brain is not being stimulated.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of going into a rigor mortis of sort. And that's, the things that they can actually see now, going back to the science, on a brain scan. Like they can see parts of like the amygdala and other like kind of just they're not being used.
Right.
You know,
So they start to atrophy.
Exactly. It leads to a loneliness and isolation leads to 29% increased risk of heart disease and a 29% risk of heart disease and 32 increased risk of stroke.
Oh my goodness.
And then it also talks about stress. We get actually into stress and isolation and putting like an actual as well, like a monetary value on that. Stress related absenteeism attributes to loneliness and cost U.S. employers an estimated $154 billion a year. And then having significant economic cost to individuals, communities, and societies. How that works is social isolation among older adults accounts for an estimated $6.7 billion in excess Medicare spending annually, mainly due to increased hospital visits and nursing facility needs. So it's a what's the word?
Quantitative?
Yeah. Thank you. That's what it is. That cigarette thing blew me away, though. I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, some of these statistics just
it gives you that tangible.
Maybe that's what it was because you
because we know what happens when you're on that sort of regimen. You can see it, and that's the tricky thing with mental health. The fact that it's internal, it's not always recognizable until it manifests physically. And maybe, I don't think we've done a great job up until more recent understanding of connecting the mind and body and recognizing that they're not separate systems, they work together, they affect each other. Right. So if you're unhealthy in one aspect, it doesn't carry that the rest of the body will be fine.
Yeah, and I think in our next after we talk about mental health, we're going to talk about the physical health, but we're going to talk about that as well. You know, I mean, think about it. If you're mentally just you can't, right? Sometimes, and you know, it's depression, it's anxiety, it's a phobia. Bishop Dolan, John Dolan, in his talks about phobias as well. It's schizophrenia. There are multiple different conditions we're talking about here, but if you're going through that, it's hard to get out of bed, right? So then if it's hard to get out of bed, how are you going to exercise, or how are you going to go to church? Like it filters the other way too. Right. It's both and, right? Yeah. So another statistics that was thrown out is more than 1 in 5 American adults have a mental illness, 23.4%, and more than 1 in 20 have a serious mental illness, 5.6%.
We all know probably 20 people. So just putting that into perspective, like there's chances are someone who's struggling in some fashion. And we do tend to kind of mask how we're feeling when we're out in public, unless it's with a very close family member or friend, we don't always reveal what we're struggling with. And again, because it's not physically obvious all the time. People I think are suffering in silence in a lot of cases.
And that's one thing that they talk about accompaniment as well. So I'll just tell you a little bit about the day. So again, it was May 2nd. It was up in Piscataway at the Diocesan Metuchen Pastoral Center. So the day started with Mass. Cardinal Tobin celebrated Mass. He was joined by Bishop Williams and also some fathers from Newark, Bishop Dolan from John Dolan from the Diocese of Phoenix, and the Diocese of Metuchen's administrator. And so it was beautiful Mass, wonderful Mass. A lot of people attended that, and then we went into the conference. And the conference was 4 or 5 well-known experts in the mental health field: Catholic Charities USA, Notre Dame, a deacon that I'll speak about, and then Bishop John Dolan. So. Bishop Dolan has created the first mental health ministry on a diocesan level in the United States. He has 5 members of his family who have died by suicide. So he is a survivor of suicide loss. So he was the first speaker. And what I really liked about Bishop Dolan and the Deacon Schoner, who was one of the speakers, they have a book together that came. I wish I had it. I would be holding it up in front of the camera right now. It's in my backpack in the other room. But the book is about suicide loss and the pastoral response. And
So
it's
important.
really kind of a how-to. It's using their personal stories to explain not only what they have lived through and the ministries they've had since then, but there's other bishops and other religious that each have a chapter in the book talking
Oh,
about it and
nice.
what they've learned and not learned. So I think it's for religious laity who work in ministries such as that. That's really, I think, who the book was intended for. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's good for anybody. Like I read the book and I could not put it down. It's a short book, and I couldn't put it down. I learned so much from this book. I may have already talked about it because I've talked about it so much. But for instance, Bishop Dolan and Deacon Ed Schoner talk a lot about how words matter
Oh, yeah.
and how it's advisable not to say committed suicide because the word committed has such a heavy, I
interesting.
committed a crime. Now you've committed suicide.
Uh-huh.
So that it carries weight, like a negative weight, just even the word. So it's died by suicide. I'm a survivor of suicide loss. So, I learned that in the first 4 pages.
Wow.
And we use these terms and don't really think about what it could mean to others.
Certainly.
So, the book it's very, I'm very happy that I read it, and I highly recommend everybody read it. But so Bishop Dolan, with his experience, like I said, he created the first mental health ministry. Some of the things that he said in his talk, I think really struck home. He talks a lot about how mental illness is not a moral failure. And
That's
addiction,
really important.
and addiction is not a lack of faith.
Right.
And he made a point to say we cannot pray away addiction and we cannot pray away depression.
And that was probably the predominant suggestion for many, many years, that just if I just have a close enough relationship with God, then this will go away. In the absence of understanding, that was just absolutely, we should be going to God and presenting him with our struggles. But that doesn't necessarily mean we shouldn't also seek treatment.
Right.
He gives us these gifts of people who are able to understand and to accompany, walk with us, and assist us through mental illness, physical illness. So, we should avail ourselves of them.
And he talks also about, look, Jesus suffered. Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane praying, "Take this away from me if it is your will." How many pictures have we seen in beautiful paintings where God is strewn over, a boulder or, just with tears crying, "Take this away from me." So, there was a lot of talk during the entire day of how God doesn't turn away from us and our suffering. He's with us, and in our suffering, he entered into our world to suffer with us. So there's no shame in suffering or turning to God when we're suffering, because he suffered too. Jesus suffered, So he talks about, like I said, his struggle is not a failure of humanity. Silence is. When we treat addiction or mental health illness as something that must be concealed or explained away or endured alone, we unintentionally transform human suffering into spiritual isolation. And isolation is where despair grows.
Oh, wow. So it just reinforces what that. Can you read that again?
Yeah.
I think that's so powerful.
Struggle is not a failure of humanity. Silence is. When we treat addiction or mental illness as something that must be concealed or explained away or endured alone, we unintentionally transform human suffering into spiritual isolation. And isolation is where despair grows. Which goes back to the statistics that we saw.
Absolutely.
So we know it can be proven as well. One of the hardest truths to face is that a person can be deeply loved but still feel completely alone. That's why presence matters. Not abstract care, but real encounter. So he talks a lot about being with. So, being with somebody, and he points to something more than just being in the same room with somebody. It speaks of a real relationship and a real identity. It's the with is going just how God was with us. We need to be with other people and each other to help in these, so that we don't fall into isolation and despair.
And to have somebody that you know you can be honest with about how you're feeling, who's not going to take it as an opportunity to judge that, just I think that's so important. Or to be that person for someone else. Say, hey, you can share anything you want to with me. And, this is a judgment-free place, and I'm here for you. I'll hold your hand. I will pray with you. I will just listen. 'Cause sometimes you just need to express what's going on internally and know that it's not going to be received in a negative way, or you're going to be looked at differently.
Yeah, I mean, he talks about kind of what you were already talking about a little while ago, how you can, when you go out in public, we have our masks
Right.
on, and he talks about how lonely we can feel in a crowded room,
Mm-hmm.
and because we hide within ourselves. He talked a lot about how sometimes it can be scary for a friend to approach another friend, and because you're like, how am I going to help? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. And he was like, really, to be honest, it has a lot to do with synodality, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
We don't need to have the answers.
Right.
They just need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
I know, when I'm in a dark place, I don't need the answers. I just need to talk, and I need somebody to listen. It's really, that's the best thing we can do for each other.
To know that somebody else is struggling,
Right.
and it's so human. It's like this isn't something that can be replaced by a conversation on a computer with chat or some other algorithm. You need that human connection, because other people at times experience what we're experiencing, and they can access a way of relating that a computer never will.
Mm-hmm.
So just that's part of that accompaniment. You're another person with struggles who recognize what it is to be in this situation, and I just need to lean on you.
You think about it, like, I know Pope Francis talked about it. I believe Benedict talked about it, and Dolan brought it up as well, how we are in a world right now that is more connected than ever, but also still as lonely as ever. Because connectedness and communication is not the same thing. We're connected, but we're not communicating.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I mean, some of the statistics that were thrown out by one of the speakers talks a lot about that, especially with our youth and young adults. So mental illness among U.S. adolescents is 40%. 40% of people, of youth and young adults, feel a persistent feeling of sadness or hopelessness, and 29% have poor mental health.
Mm.
And again, you think about it, they're not communicating.
Right.
They're on the web, they're on social media, but there's no true connected but not communication.
And it's not as if mental health struggles didn't exist in previous generations,
Right.
or years ago. It's just there was less understanding, and there were fewer things that were wrecking our connectedness.
Mm-hmm.
I think because we had no choice. If you wanted to connect with someone, it was person to person, or a live phone call. There was no opportunity to do so through a device.
Right.
And to have that filter, or having emojis take the place of, actual emotion on someone's real face.
Right.
So that's the byproduct, I think, that wasn't anticipated with the extra connectedness. You feel like, okay, if I make a social media post, and I get likes from friends and everything, that's somehow connection. I don't even know the right descriptor for that, but it's not a one-to-one replacement.
Exactly. And also because of the the science that we have learned, and you can see it in the brain. Like, you can see how different areas are lit up or not lit up when we're having stimulating conversations or just being in the present of another person. Yeah. And it's interesting because Bishop Dolan talked a lot about priests and religious who have depression or a mental health issue, and he says, I thought this was really interesting. He says, I've met priests who waited years before seeking help, years of quiet anguish, because they feared disappointing their bishop, their community, or their people. I've met women religious who believed that their vows required endurance without expression. Endurance is not the same as holiness. Suffering in silence is not a sacrament or religious virtue.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. then we're talking about the stigma around mental health. There's a false theology among people of faith, a belief that prayer or sacred events, such as an ordination or a marriage, will fix us or exempt us from human vulnerability, that grace replaces psychology, that faith negates trauma, that holiness looks like emotional invulnerability. That's not good theology. And then he says it's certainly not good anthropology.
Wow. I think so many of us need to hear that specifically. Like, that's just a prescription for getting help is what we are called to do, not to suffer in silence. Not that our life is going to be void of suffering, that obviously.
Yeah.
But that's an opportunity for other people to participate in that and to help alleviate that. Like, what was that scripture from St. Paul? He says, I make up the lack of, I can't say it from memory, but I participate in the suffering of Christ. So the lack of suffering in Christ I make up for. Not that Christ didn't suffer enough, but that he gives us the opportunity to participate in that. And that follows also, we're called to participate in other people's suffering and to walk with them. And yeah, how beautifully said. That was just...
Yeah, it was great. Like I said, there's a larger story about it because there was Deacon Ed Schoner, there was Ben Wortham from Catholic Charities USA, and Beth Blaze from Notre Dame University. So the editor-in-chief of the Catholic Spirit in the Diocese of Metuchen and I wrote articles together. So please, all of these articles are available so you can read about the entire conference and all of those speakers on every single one of the dioceses in this state website. All of the content was shared with everybody. So Newark, Patterson, Metuchen, Camden, Trenton has all of the article and some of the breakouts and the statistics that I said. So check out your Catholic media website or publication. You can read all about it.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Jen. I think we all can stand to learn a lot and improve how we approach mental health.
Oh, I'll be honest. I went for myself, seeing if I could get answers for me. Like we all need it,
right?
And I learned a lot and met a lot of great people. And yeah, when you read the articles, there's a lot of links on there. Like if you want to start your own ministry in your own parish of accompaniment, so check it out. So now we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about our physical health and spiritual health as well. So we're getting everybody ready for the summer, right?
Right.
That's what we're doing right now. Happy summer. So we'll be back in a second.
I had a moment of overwhelming peace the other day where I felt God's presence very powerfully. That's something called spiritual consolation. In those moments, God makes it easy for us to have the right perspective on life. The next day was rough. I was hit with some really hard news that turned me upside down. You know what I did? I remembered that moment of peace from the day before, and I chose to dwell in that peace. God doesn't just give us moments of spiritual consolation so we can remember them and long for them. He gives us those moments so we can recall them into the present. In a marriage, that time you fell in love, that's not something for the past. They're sweet memories that we recall throughout marriage that feed the whole marriage. So it is with God. In the hard times, recall the way He's shown you His love in the blessed times. Don't just go to your happy place, go to your God space, and you'll find the right perspective again. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
Bishop Robert Barron.
When you say, well, my ego is the center of my life, my freedom, okay, it sounds great. What I can envision, what I can desire in the immediacy of the moment, I mean, what a dull prospect. But to say that God's purposes are now my purposes, well, that opens up, as Paul says in Ephesians, this power already at work in me that can do infinitely more than I can ask or imagine. Or the Lord saying to Peter, when you were a young man, you tied your own belt and went where you wanted to go. That's what young people do. But don't get stuck there, because then the Lord says, well, you're an old man. Someone else will tie you up and take you where you don't want to go. Well, that's the Holy Spirit. So don't read that as something terrible. That's liberating. That's wonderful. Some greater power will tie you up and take you maybe where you never imagined you'd go. When you get beyond that little narrow space of your own ego and you're opened up now into the great space. That's what happens when Jesus becomes Lord. Now you're living.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Better Together. I'm Jen Morrow.
I'm Emily Italia.
Okay, I was talking about something off air, and Emily said I needed to bring this up, so I'm going to bring it up really quick. So part of that mental health conference, the Beth Blaze from Notre Dame was talking about the science of mental health, and I cannot remember the name. Oh, here we go. I'm going to mispronounce it. I'm sorry. She was talking about genetic, biological, environmental, and developmental factors of mental health, mental health, wellness. And one of the new areas of study is called, epigenetic.
That's right.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. And but something that was told to me offside during the conference was, for instance, to give an example of what epigenetic would mean, is that they've been doing studies to say the grandchildren and great-grandchildren of Holocaust survivors, there is a stress gene that is passed down, that has been passed down. They've done studies to say, okay, yeah, these great-grandchildren and grandchildren of Holocaust survivors have a stress gene that they have not seen before. And it's like if it's turned on, then you're going to suffer from a different kind of anxiety and depression. And they believe it's been passed down.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, go back to the science, just so much more than that we know these days. And just to reiterate with Bishop Dolan, we can't pray it away. It's part of our makeup.
Right.
It's literally part of our genetic makeup.
Well, and it could be, so not to alarm anybody, but it could be a predisposition rather than a guarantee of a,
Absolutely.
So, but just to be aware of that, things that affected your family for generations may play into what you're faced with, what you're going to potentially find more challenging, be predisposed to have challenges with. So just something to consider. Not as a scapegoat, not as a, oh my goodness, like some people will say, oh, I've got the cancer gene from a particular,
right.
That's not a guarantee that you will get
Exactly.
it. Just, well, maybe I need to take other measures to help protect myself against this.
Or just like how there's alcoholism,
right.
certain addictions that are more prominent in families. Again, doesn't mean, I like how you said that, not to alarm. It's just more information that we have, and especially these days with when we're learning more about our health every day, we get tested, especially as women, for the BRCA gene when we're talking about breast cancer, just to be prepared so that we can live healthy lives spiritually, mentally, physically.
Right. And we had talked about how mental health, physical health, spiritual health, they're all connected. There's really no arguing with that at this point. And so kind of going off of that from the genetic to also what we can do physically to maintain our health. And
our summer bodies, our bathing suit bodies.
Yeah.
But I know actually we're not going to say that.
Everybody's a bathing suit body. So
Amen. Amen.
Right. But I feel like in the midst of all of this, we can't forget about what we put into our bodies that influences the outcomes of how we're feeling mentally as well as physically. And I know, for me, just going back to the table, food. I love cooking. I have a side business as a personal chef, and preparing food for me it's a little bit of a point of pride because I like to be able to generate something I know is going to nourish someone else. Right. So this is really close to my heart, and we could do a whole episode on food. We could have a totally different channel. But so for me, I was just looking at the Catholic connection. How are we called to treat our bodies when it comes to what we take in?
Yeah.
And there's literally on CatholicDigest.com an article on how to eat like a Catholic. And I thought, oh, great. Okay, so I can't have fun anymore. I can't have any more of my fun food. And no, very much we are called to enjoy the food that God has made available to us. It's meant to be a pleasurable experience, and there are reasons why we have taste buds, why we have that visceral reaction to food. It's life-giving, it's nourishing. But the points that they made in this article I thought were so fantastic, so I was going to go through them real quick. Preparing and sharing a meal is the most intimate thing that we can do together. I mean, outside of marriage, sharing a meal, it touches on all the different parts of who we are as a human. It's connective mentally, it's connective physically, And spiritually, we're praying before our meals and blessing them as Catholics, calling the Lord to bless them. So, and it's inclusive. We're including other people, and hopefully, I do have several meals where I'm literally just at the table by myself. Just, that's the way the schedule happens. But hopefully, we can bring together people in our meals, throughout the week occasionally to have that connection.
Yeah.
Sitting together at the dinner table. Just try and go on to. And then also we're called to treat our bodies as temples of the Holy Spirit. Heard that. And that means, like that nourishment, that healthy. So yes, there are plenty of things out there that we can enjoy that maybe not the healthiest for us, but the idea being that we're not going to overindulge. We're not going to indulge to the point of addiction or health problems. It seems like the things that are good that God has created, there's always an opportunity for excess. And that excess is where then potentially the sin can be introduced, is where we're overdoing it.
Right.
So treating our bodies as temples means we don't put things in them that are going to poison them, to cause them harm, So looking at what's available on the grocery store shelves, and saying, okay, if I get this, do I know that I'm going to bring it home and consume all of it in one sitting, and that's going to make me feel terrible, and it's going to have downstream effects for my body, or is it something that I can have a little bit of and share? And with all the processed foods, it's kind of a balance, right?
Yeah. Well, I think even JP2 talked about that in Theology of the Body. Like we are called for a stewardship of the physical body,
right?
Starting with food,
and also the thinking about where the food comes from. So I liked this aspect they brought up. We're charged to be good stewards of the earth. So thinking about what you're consuming, and is it perhaps something that is mass produced in a way that is not being kind to nature in the way that God intended. So and I understand, like, I'm speaking from a place of privilege, being able to have the choice. Yes, I would like to buy this organic thing versus this, conventional, that may have been, animals raised in a way that I think that God would kind of frown on.
I see what you mean.
Or with heavy use of pesticides, or things that impact the environment. So I realize there's some nuance in what I'm saying, but just having that in mind, and where you can, maybe even like supporting local agriculture where you can, because that helps support those families who run those farms. And then the nutrition they found, the closer you can eat your food to the harvest time, the more nutrients it contains. So if you can eat something that was grown locally, chances are, it hasn't traveled hundreds and hundreds of miles and been sitting on on the shelf or in a refrigerator truck for forever.
Yeah.
And community supported agriculture, farmers markets, if you have access to those, it's kind of a win-win. Like you're supporting the people who are producing it, and it's good for your body.
And I know that, there's always concern about how expensive fresh foods can be. I know that when we worked in the same office, you had what was it called? Co-op?
Oh, yes.
The local co-op.
Yes.
And then we divided it with like 4 or 5 people because first off, it cut the cost down tremendously. So it was affordable for all of us. And so we would all go and we would pick out, whatever that was that time. Right. And we would get to try new things. First off, because you're getting what's available, what's in season. So you start. So it was affordable because we all split it up. It was healthy. It was adventurous because we tried some new things I had not tried before.
And having to get creative with recipes and look things up and go, what do I do with kohlrabi? I've never heard of this before.
Exactly. And then also, so many of our local food banks now pair with local, especially in South Jersey. I can speak from experience with so much agriculture in South Jersey. Almost so many of the food banks have fresh foods coming in the summer, and also the donations from grocery stores all across the state as well. So that there can be some real fresh choices and healthy choices.
And then comes the education. Like, do you have access to recipes or online resources where you can look up, what do I do with this? If you're getting vegetable through the farmer's co-op or the food bank, that I've never seen this before, or I wasn't taught how to cook growing up. I don't know how to use this, or, can I freeze it for later? That sort of thing. So I think some places, like, for example, Mount Carmel Guild in Trenton, which has a food bank and serves the greater Mercer County area for those in need. They, for a while, I think they had state funding through the SNAP program to have people come in and demonstrate how to use certain items. But that funding was canceled more recently. So they're working with trying to find some more local resources. So I was going to say, if you're a chef, if you enjoy cooking, you might want to go to their website. It's MT Carmel, CARMEL, guild.org, I believe. I should actually be looking at my notes. That would be the best.
You're so good with the websites.
I usually am. I had it in here. Here we go. So the executive director, Darren Miller, is there at Mount Carmel Guild. You can reach out to him through mtcarmelguild.org/volunteer. There you can fill out the form on the website, and then you can say, here's where my talents lie. So just was thinking of food in particular, but, any other ways that you want to volunteer, of course, too. But just, not everybody grew up learning how to cook. Not everybody grew up with fresh produce, and we would love for all God's people to be able to enjoy what he's made available to us so that they can have better physical and hopefully as a result better mental health.
And I did make a joke about bathing suit bodies, but that's just because that's what I'm always thinking about. But, in all seriousness, like I talked about with John JP2 and others, Father Mike Schmitz has spoken about this as well a lot, and just about this idea that our bodies are a gift to steward. And it's, it really isn't about making our bodies look good because we want to look good in the bathing suit or we want to look good for others. Really, it's not about that at all. It's about training our bodies and taking care of our bodies so that, when we leave this earth, it's not like we're going to be free of a cage, as JP2 says.
Right.
We're not trying to escape this body. And on the other hand, we're not supposed to be preoccupied with our body and all the time and how we look. We're resurrected in spirit and body. And again, Father Mike Schmitz talks about training and how we train our bodies. Like there's a difference between working out and training, right? If you're working out, we're taking care of our bodies. When we're training, we're doing this for a goal. Like we're training for a race. We're training for this. Same thing with prayer. Consider that when we are working out are we working out for our spiritual health? Are we working out just to pray and say that we went to church, or are we training to be a saint?
That's a great perspective.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to use that. I like that.
Stole that from Father Mike Schmitz. So I think we have like a minute. Is there any? I feel like I did all the talking and I apologize.
No, not at all. It's all connected, and I could talk about food forever, so we can always do another
food
podcast.
We really should.
But one last thing that they had said was that God intended for us to enjoy food. So, some people will argue that food is just for physical nourishment. And not everybody has the same palate or the same culinary background or cultural background when it comes to food, but food nourishes more than their bodies, the article said. It feeds our hearts and minds and senses. It's not just a tool for survival. So, implementing something new in your cooking is just using that creativity that God gave you to enjoy more of what he's put before us.
And again, sitting at the table with others. So.
Yes.
Fights isolation.
It's all good.
All connected. So I think we're out of time. We should come back and we've said this before. I feel like you should have a cooking show. Of course, that won't be fair to anybody watching because they'll be like, everything looks delicious and we can't eat it.
Right.
But
we could enjoy it.
But we could
tell you how good it tastes.
Jim could eat it. So, everybody, thank you as always for listening. We hope you have a great month, a happy Mother's Day month, and this month of Mary. May Mary protect you all with her mantle.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.